Welcome to the kingdom. We are so excited to be with you today. And we have an amazing session that we have special prepared for you today. And we're going to start with one of my favorite songs. Clock strikes upon the hour and the sun begins to fade. If you know it, sing along. Still enough time to figure out how to chase my blues away. I've done all right up till now. It's the light of day that shows me how. So when the night falls, the loneliness calls. Dance with me, come on. Oh, I wanna dance with somebody. Hey, I wanna feel the heat with somebody. Yeah, I wanna dance with somebody. With some. Sing it with us from home, come on. Oh, I wanna dance with somebody. I wanna feel the heat with somebody. Yeah, I wanna dance with somebody. With somebody who loves me. Hey! Now listen. I've been in love and lost my senses, spinning through the town. Sooner or later that fever ends and I wind up feeling down. I need a man who takes the chance on a love that burns hot enough to last. So when the night falls, my lonely heart calls. You know it. Oh, I wanna dance with somebody. I wanna hear you all the way from home. I wanna feel the heat with somebody. Yeah, I wanna dance with somebody. With somebody. Come on, sing it with us. Oh, I wanna dance with somebody. That's right. I wanna feel the heat with somebody. Yeah, I wanna dance with somebody. With somebody who loves. Welcome to the kingdom, everybody. My name is Justin Michael Williams. This is season 3 of The Kingdom. And in this season, we are talking all about the power of love, starting today with finding your soulmate. So let's get it. Come on. Hey. I need a man who takes the chance on a love that burns hot enough to last. So when the night falls, my lonely heart calls. With somebody, yeah, I wanna dance with somebody. With somebody. Okay, here we go, say, oh, I wanna dance with somebody. I hear you from home. If you ain't dancing with us, get out your seat. Yeah, I wanna dance with somebody. All right, I wanna hear just your voices. You ready? Come on. Oh, I wanna dance with somebody. I wanna feel the heat with somebody. Yeah, I wanna dance with somebody. If you're trying to call love into your life, more love, whether it's a partner or not, sing this with us, come on. Oh, I wanna dance with somebody. I wanna feel the heat with somebody. Yeah, I wanna dance with somebody. With somebody who loves. Here we go, come on. Oh, I wanna dance with somebody. I wanna feel the heat with somebody. Yeah, I see you all at home. We feel your energy from here. Come on. With somebody who Welcome to the kingdom, everybody. Wow. Give it up for this amazing band and choir, everybody, and all of you at home. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, we are in for a very special session today. This season of The Kingdom is all about the power of love. And love, in terms of how we call more love into our lives, in the most authentic, the most down-to-earth, the most real way. And we're covering some crazy topics. We're talking about finding your soulmate today, and we have special guest, Katherine Woodward Thomas, who will be joining us very soon. Thank you for being here, Katherine. It's an absolute gift to have you here. You all are in for such a treat. Katherine is the author of New York Times best-selling book, Calling in the One, Conscious Uncoupling. You've heard of her and her work, and we're gonna get to dig in with her today. And if we can turn the keys down a little bit in my ears, thank you. And so I wanna just get clear, this kingdom, what we're gonna be doing is every single month, we're going into a different theme talking about love. We're talking about love and grief. We're talking about intimacy and making love and how to bring more intimacy into your sex life. You don't do that at every church, do you? You don't have that conversation. We're talking about how to love our bodies and how to explore love in many different ways. And we're gonna end with a very powerful session on how to bring love as a political force, how to make love a political force. We have a very special guest for that. And so, here at the Kingdom, it is so important that we tap into the greatest sense of ourselves and who we are and who we really are, and know that we connect across every single divide. Actually, we go beyond divides. We go beyond divides, not beneath them, not ignoring our differences, but we go beyond divides. And we really come together, and we hope that you feel that from home. In today's session, we'll be talking about how to find your soulmate. If you are looking in this room to call a lover, a romantic love into your life, can you raise your hands and make some noise a little bit? Okay, so some people. Anybody online looking? I see you all in the chat box. Okay. And even if you're not looking to call romantic love into your life, if you're already in a romantic relationship, how many of you are looking to deepen the sense of love that you have in that relationship? Okay, and how many of you online feel that? How many of you, I'm just gonna say, you don't even have to raise your hand because you're on camera. How many of you are in the wrong relationship and trying to figure out if you're supposed to leave, or if this is the right fit, or if there is a bigger love for you? So we're gonna be covering all of that today. If it's your first time here at the Kingdom, in the chat box, I want you to actually type in the words first time. And I see you all here. So if it's your first time here, I want you to type in the words first time so that we can see you pop up in the chat, and you'll see in the chat box, our community is gonna welcome you and say welcome. And so if somebody says first time, just say welcome Katie, welcome Sabine, welcome Heather, welcome Mimi, welcome Romy, welcome. We got people from all over the world, and I would love to hear where you're coming in from, so type in where you're coming in from in the world. And for everybody in this room, take a moment, turn to somebody next to you, and tell them one thing that you have to be grateful for. One thing that you have to be grateful for. It could be two people next to you. And in the chat box, you can also do the exact same thing. You can type in one thing that you have to be grateful for, and we're gonna fill this space with the energy of gratitude. What are you grateful for? Okay. So we'll spend another 10 seconds on this. And look at everybody here. Welcome Stephanie and Caroline and Diani. We have Caroline from Frankfurt, Germany. We have Lori from Washington, D.C. We're coming in Los Angeles. We're at a beautiful venue called The Nest up in the Hollywood Hills. The founder is here with us today, and we're so gifted to be here. Hopefully many of you will be able to join us here. We have Washington, D.C. We have people from the UK, from Berlin. Oh my gosh, from all over the world. L.A., the Bay Area. South Carolina, Alaska. I don't know what this is. Mucalito. Washington, Long Island. Lots of Londoners here. Colorado. Great. Okay. So, one thing that I want to offer to you all, as you're seeing in the chat, and something we're going to do in the room, is something we do here at the Kingdom, is if you hear me or Katherine or anybody who speaks in the room say anything that makes you want to go like, yeah, girl, amen, I'm with you, mm-hmm. I love that. What we do instead of clapping or anything is we just throw a one up in the air. If you're in the room, you just throw your ones up. This is our ones. This is our resonating ones. And if you're in the chat box, you throw your ones in the chat box. You just put the number 1 a whole bunch of times in the chat, and that's how we know that we're exchanging this energy and that we're here live. So if you hear us say anything, put in your ones. So I want to see an example here. Everybody in the chat box and everybody in the room, make some noise with your ones. Put your ones up. Okay, so this is how we roll. All right. So as we go through this experience, I want to talk a little bit about what to expect today. We start our experience with learning a concept that we can actually integrate in a practical way into our lives. So we learn to practice this concept. So we're not just gonna hear about love, we're not just gonna hear about finding your soulmate. We actually are going to do a practice that Katherine will lead us through that will help you identify how to find and live with more love in your life. Then we learn how to actually integrate it into your life after the kingdom. You know, I grew up in church, and I loved church growing up. I actually had a pretty positive experience overall until I came out of the closet with church. But however, the thing that I always found that was missing from church is what do I do once I leave these doors? And so in every single one of our sessions, we're gonna have a kingdom challenge. That's a simple action that you can take between this session and the next session to help you understand how to keep this going in your life. You'll have a time to ask questions. We're gonna get a real great opportunity to ask Katherine some questions. And then we have the little golden nugget. And this is where you figure out your key takeaway from this session, what your takeaway is. And of course, the end says sing, but we sing it all the way through. We sing it all the way through, okay? So I would love to have a question get answered here from somebody in our community. And so I want to call up Selena Larson. Selena, come on up, and we'll have a microphone coming over for you. So everybody give some love to Selena. Everybody in the chat, everybody everywhere, some love to Selena. And our amazing ritual designer, Ezra Bookman, who owns a company called Ritualist, helped us actually write this amazing manifesto called the Kingdom Manifesto. Because people are always asking, people always say, what is the kingdom? What's the kingdom? And a better question that I found is, who is the kingdom? Because the kingdom is a community. The kingdom is not a thing. It doesn't exist without all of us. And so every month we will have, yeah, those are the ones, right? There's the ones. So every month we will have someone from the community come and remind us and anchor us into the energy of this manifesto. So Selena, who is an incredible healer and leader and trauma therapist and a meditation teacher in our community, she actually teaches meditation and went through our teacher training, is the first one ever to read this manifesto on the kingdom. So no pressure, Selena.
I don't feel any.
Okay, so go ahead, come on up. Stage is yours.
Okay. Ekomomai, which means welcome.
Hold the microphone straight to your mouth. Mm-hmm.
Hello. Ekomomai, which means welcome in Hawaiian. That's where I'm from. So, welcome to the Kingdom Community, a place where we come together to grow, belong, and rise. It's a space where we celebrate our journeys and inspire each other to be the best version of ourselves. We believe that true growth is collaborative and that we reach our full potential when we help others to thrive. We come to the kingdom to be inspired and energized, to feel supported and held, and to help others to do the same. Our community is built on the power of connection, and we believe that everyone belongs here. We strive to create a safe and accepting space where we can reflect honestly, listen generously, open vulnerably, and love deeply. We rise together. We believe that there is something bigger than us, and also something big within us. We believe that all of us have the power to transform our lives and change the world. We believe that music is medicine, singing is sacred, and dancing is how our bodies sing. We believe that wisdom is everywhere, but especially in you, and you, and you, and you, and you. So today, we invite you to join us. We believe in you. We believe in us. Everyone is welcome in the kingdom. Together, let's grow, go beyond, and rise. We rise together.
We rise together. Thank you, Selena. Oh, first Kingdom Manifesto reading. So thank you so much, Selena. What an absolute gift. And everybody, I see you typing in the chat. I can see you love this so much. So before we get into our next session, or into the session today, I have a few announcements that I just want to make. What you'll know is now going forward, about 15 minutes before the kingdom starts, we'll have a screen with announcements and music playing. So if you want to come early online and get yourself in the vibe like we are in the room, you can come turn your stream on early, still be getting ready, eating breakfast or whatever as we're getting started. And so there are a few announcements that I want to make before we jump into the session. The first one is about the Kingdom podcast. So for those of you who don't know, this is season 3 of the Kingdom. We actually have had, this is our 85th session of the Kingdom. We went in 2020, we went every single Sunday without skipping a Sunday until from July 2020 until September 2021. Every single Sunday without missing one. Then we took a break, we had a second season, and now we're in season 3 of this amazing session. We've had incredible guests from all over the world. So if you want to listen back to any of our old episodes, all 80 plus of them, you can go on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcasts, and there's also a QR code on the screen right now that you should be able to grab and listen to the podcast. And this session will be up in about a week. And so a week from now, you'll be able to come back and listen to this and share this with the people that you love. Now, the second thing is about Soul Study. How many of you here participate in Soul Study? So, and many of you online. So Soul Study is every Wednesday night. So one of the things about the Kingdom this way is it's, even though I can get you all in the chat, it's you taking in information. Soul Study is our community connection time. So Soul Study is a casual session. It's not recorded. It's on Zoom. It's every Wednesday. And the community comes together. We have an incredible leader who leads Soul Study in our community. And we come together and we actually deepen on the practices that we learned this month. So we'll be taking Katherine's book and we'll be taking more of her work and seeing exactly how to integrate it into your life. And if you're looking for accountability in your life, Soul Study is definitely where it's at because we keep the practice and the challenge going every single week in Soul Study. And then I just want you to mark your calendars for the next Kingdom Sundays. It is on May 14th, and this session is going to be all about how to love your body. And if you want to come join us in person here in LA at the Nest, we have very limited amount of tickets for every session. All of our Kingdom sessions for the whole season, you can purchase your tickets online. Just go to the QR code or go to justinmichaelwilliams.com/thekingdom. We'll make sure that's in the chat for you. And it's first come, first serve. So you get your tickets. This one is totally full, and we'd love to see you here next month or for any of our future sessions. And then last but not least, whoa. Whoa, hold on, friends. I don't know what just happened. The slides, it's not even Mercury retrograde. Okay. So I just want to put up on the screen what we're going to be covering and the dates of a whole season. Today, Finding Your Soulmate with Katherine. Whoop, whoop. May 14th, How to Love Your Body. June 18th, Learning to Grieve. And the reason we're covering this, how many of you have lost someone in the last 3 years? How many of you are grieving something in your life? So many of us. You can put some ones in the chat box. You don't grieve unless you have deeply loved. You don't grieve unless you have deeply loved. And so we're opening up to learn how to grieve more effectively so we can really feel it and not push it away in our lives. July 9th, we're talking about the power of making love, expanding sexual intimacy. August 13th, we're doing a special session all on forgiveness, and we're ending on September 24th with Love is a Political Force. So again, you can come join us in person if you want. You need to get tickets for that. Online, it's always free, always accessible to you at any time. And then our very final announcement, if this thing will play nicely with me, is the Kingdom Spotify playlist. We created a playlist called Manifesting Love. I hand-curated a list of songs to help get you into the energy of love. And these are songs, like one of the songs that's on there is a song called Everything by Mary J. Blige that my mom used to sing to me when I was in her womb. These are every single song there. One song is a song they played at my Baka's funeral, my grandmother's funeral. It's all songs that are deeply personal to me, but that help you feel the energy of love. And so you can go on Spotify or just get the QR code to that now and search for the Manifesting Love playlist, and we'll make sure we send it to you. Okay. Those are all the announcements. Y'all ready to begin for real now? Okay. So we're going to take a little bit of silence. A little bit of silence. Not a moment of silence, because not all serious like that, right? We're just going to have a little bit of silence to drop us into the space. So before we do that, I want somebody in this room to shout out a word that all of us collectively can drop into energetically right now. Somebody holler one. Joy. Joy. So let's feel the energy of joy. You can even just say the word in your mind a few times. You can close your eyes if you feel comfortable, and then I invite you to place one hand over your heart and the other hand on top of that. Take a deep, full breath in and a breath out. And another breath in and a breath out. This is about you dropping into your own space so you can hear the wisdom within you. One more time, breath in, breath out. Now with me to the count of 4. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Last time. Slow it down. Inhale 1, 2. Deeper. 3, 4. Hold for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Now just breathe normally. And feel into your own intimate space. And see if you can call into your mind anything in life that brings you joy. Anything that brings you joy. I think of my little nieces bringing me joy. And just fill yourself up with the energy of joy. You can imagine breathing it in. Like if joy was a color or a texture and you were filling yourself up with it, like you're taking a hit of it. Joy. As we stay in this soft space, we'll open up with a blessing. And you can invite this prayer to whatever it is that you call sacred. Here at the Kingdom, all beliefs are welcome. Hands over the center of your chest, one over the other. God, Spirit, universe, all that is, all that ever has been, and all that ever will be, we thank you. Thank you for bringing this community together in person for the first time, online at the same time. Thank you for gathering us here. Thank you for allowing us to be healthy enough to be here, to be present, to experience these teachings. May all the words that are spoken today be used for the benefit of all. May all the words that are spoken today be filled with exactly what each of us need to hear to move love to the next level in our lives. May we remember that love and joy are connected and that we have the power to turn on joy anytime in our lives when we remember to trust and let go and work on ourselves in these deep ways. Thank you for bringing this community together from all over the world for 3 years, for all of our first-timers, and for this amazing gift that we have to be here in this experience that we call life. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So it is. Ashe, Aho, Salam, Amen, Shalom, Awen, Satnam, Om. Thank you. So here we are. Are we present? Have we arrived? We've arrived. So I'm very excited to welcome to the stage our special guest, Katherine Woodward Thomas. Everybody, please give a hand to Katherine. Thank you, my friend. It's such a gift to be with you. So Katherine, her microphone, and we'll grab this too. So thank you, Tasha. And give it up for Tasha, who's our event producer. So Katherine Woodward Thomas, everybody, if you don't know, I mentioned a few things. New York Times best-selling author. All over the world, your books are sold and read in languages all over the world. The one that we're going to talk about today is called Calling in the One. I know a really popular one is Conscious Uncoupling for people who didn't find the one. They found the wrong one.
Maybe they found the one that was right for a while and a certain piece of it, because we're all kind of still in the myth of if you find your person, they should be forever. And if they're not forever, that somehow you were wrong, or they were wrong, or
Yeah.
it was wrong, or you were in fantasy. So we want to validate all love
Amen.
as being important.
Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you.
And so I want to get in today. We have such a gift to be with you today, and so I'm going to jump in pretty strong here. We have this quote of the month, and we'll have a quote every month. And this quote is great because it's from you. And you said this, I don't know if you remember saying this. Healing is the domain of the past, and transformation is the domain of the future. Can we just let the ones up? Okay, I see you on the chat back.
Thank you.
I'm going to say it again. Everybody say it with me. Healing is the domain of the past, and transformation is the domain of the future. What the hell does that mean?
Okay. So Werner Erhard once said, you must create the future that you desire from the future.
Yes.
Right? And Joe Dispenza is very clear. He says, don't tell me the story of your past, tell me the story of your future. And a lot of us are looking to clear our relationship issues by doing our work, our inner work, connecting the dots, doing the healing work. My dad was this, my mom was that, she left, he was abusive, and all of that stuff, if you can hold the complexity, is critical to do.
Yeah.
It matters when you do that kind of work. However, if you always are looking backwards to try and change your love life.
It was good you paused there because listen, how many of you been busy looking back, constantly looking back?
That was divine intervention.
It was divine intervention. Yeah, it was.
Okay.
It was.
If you're always looking backwards, then you are in danger of over-identifying with the self that you formed in response to trauma.
Hello. And so really quick, because I think one of the misconceptions that people get, and people come into our community all the time, I think one of the biggest things that people say they're trying to manifest, other than more money, is a partner. And one of the biggest misconceptions that I hear is people think they have to heal themselves first. They have to go back and heal everything, because if I only love myself enough, or if I'm healed everything in my past, then I'll be ready or worthy of a relationship. You're saying that's not the way to go.
I fell for that one, hook, line, and sinker. And it wasn't until I was in my 40s and had been working on myself for 20 years that I thought, maybe I'm missing something.
Yep. Hello.
Okay.
How many of you have been doing healing work for about 15 years and still single?
Right, okay.
I'm raising my hand too. So hello.
Okay, so it matters to do all
It
that
does matter.
work.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
really matters. We're not invalidating the work, but here's the thing about that. Some of the hurts in our heart, we will be healing for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
Like if your father betrayed you, if your mother didn't love you, if she left, if he hurt you, like those hurts will come up at different times.
Yeah.
When you get disappointed in life, or it's a holiday, or it's your birthday, or it's spring is coming, whatever it is that reminds you of that. So we have to learn how to be in relationship with those tender parts of ourselves and begin to deconstruct the meaning that we made of that trauma.
Yeah. We're getting you some water, so hang tight.
Oh, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you.
It's
Because when we were young, the task that we had at that point in our lives is to form an identity.
Yeah.
And to figure out where we were in the scheme of things on this planet. So if your mother was depressed and in her bedroom every day after you got home from school and you were all by yourself watching television day after day after day, you might have formed a self-sense, I'm all alone and no one is here for me.
Yeah.
And so to begin to hold that 7-year-old, to learn how to tend to that 7-year-old, because that self will come up intermittently whenever we get disappointed, whenever something happens externally.
Yeah.
So healing is its own domain, and we have to learn how to be in relationship with that part of ourselves that's been wounded, so that we can create life outside of that.
And this
story.
is where the future comes in, right? This
Well,
is where the creating
yes,
from
so
the
you
future.
start with the miracle. Because if you've never had a healthy, loving relationship, and you kind of keep seeing the patterns of the past replay, you want to actually start with the miracle. You want to say, my intention
And by the miracle, hold on, by the miracle, you mean what it is that if you could close your eyes and dream up whatever the
just
ultimate
believe,
love.
just like God had the best day of her life.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, let's just create some love mischief for Justin.
Yeah.
And we're just going to beam this like miracle energy.
I'm calling it in.
Suddenly, Justin's deepest desires are fulfilled.
That's
And
what you mean by the miracle.
the miracle,
Okay,
like
got
the
it.
best case scenario. Don't just go like, well, I'd like to date a better, nicer people.
Right.
Right? Like, that's not really it. Or I'd like to love myself more so that when I have a relationship, I can love myself more. No, go for the gold.
Yeah, play a
Because
bigger
loving
game.
yourself more will be one of the steps that you'll need to do. Because here's the thing, transformation is about development. You have to be interested in who you would need to be in order to manifest and sustain that future.
Hello.
And why the patterns keep happening is because when we got stunted inside of the false beliefs, we stopped growing certain skills.
So I want to pause us there and ask you a really important question.
Okay, I'm ready.
Why would we ever want to find a soulmate? Like, people assume, it's like, oh, I should find my soulmate. But people spend so much time and energy doing this. Why would we actually
Well,
want to do
first of all, I think in the spiritual community, which all of us are a part of, there's a little bit of kind of an undercurrent of I shouldn't need anybody.
Yeah.
I should really be fulfilled all by myself. I shouldn't really want a soulmate. Maybe if they come, if they don't, there's this whole thing about when you stop looking, then you'll find the person, right? So there's this kind of myth in the space that somehow, purpose and actualization is the golden nugget, and it's peripheral.
Yeah.
Whether you have a soulmate or not.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: it's not pathological to yearn for love. And it's not coming from a needy part of us. It's actually wisdom.
Can everybody in the chat type that in? It is not pathological to yearn for love. Can we say that in the room? It is not pathological to yearn for love. It is biological. It is built into us. It's spiritual.
It is built into us.
Yeah, to love.
Nature has designed us to actually regulate each other, to create well-being. As a matter of fact, from a neurological perspective, relationship is our safe space in the world.
Yeah.
And since we're talking about joy, when you have the right relationships and you have engaged all the growth that you need to engage to be well enough to begin to navigate to the higher potentials of love, because it's not about meeting the right person. You can meet the right person and bring the worst of yourself to that scenario.
Hello.
Because you get so captured by your anxieties and your fears about, and your old beliefs that are unexamined, that you somehow can't actualize the potentials. That's the heartache.
And this is what you're talking about becoming. It's this thing that we talk about here in the community a lot around you're asking for the miracle, you're asking for the vision, but who do we need to become to be ready to receive and hold the vision that we're actually asking for?
So how you start to navigate your way to the higher potentials of love is you first of all have to really be interested in what's the version of myself in that experience. You have to almost borrow against the future and bring the future into your now using your imagination.
So this is where we go back to this quote, right?
Yeah.
With the transformation is the domain of the future. So you're telling us, go to the future, to who you are being.
Yes, because the future will
Okay.
begin to pull you into who you would need to be. It actually informs your development. Like, golly, when I go into that future, who am I there? I can say no when I mean no. Or I can tolerate someone else saying no, and not getting my way and be respectful of that person. I can engage conflict directly. I can hold my own autonomy in the relationship and not just give my power away because I'm so afraid that someone's going to leave me.
This is so powerful, Katherine. And there's something that I just want to pull out that we pinned in on page 5 of your book that I love. This is a quote from the first lesson on expanding your capacity to love and be loved. And it says, if you want to be ready to bring the one into your life, then you must be willing to grow yourself beyond the person you know yourself to be, because the person you are today is the same person who created the experiences you've already had. So this is big. And so as I'm thinking about this, many of us we know how to look into our past, and I think we're taught, go to therapy, heal our wounds, go to the past, but we don't actually have a lot of practice at experiencing what it's like to stand in the future in this way. And so the main thing that I want to get to here is how do we, because people will say, well, I don't know what I want. I don't know what to imagine. So how can I see myself there if they're just based on all their old patterns? So how do you start to break through that?
So calling in the one is actually a process, and we begin with the hunger, and we validate the hunger for a beautiful love that lights you up and gives you joy and courage and strength and encouragement and is your safe space. And you might never have had that before. And so you have no idea. And as a matter of fact, you've been trying to create that forever. So we start from that future. We teach you a visioning practice about how to begin to move into using your imagination to try and get a sliver of what that might look like. Because even if 1% of you can catch that vision in your body, it's almost like I say, stick your foot in that opening, like a door opening, like stick your foot in.
It's like an elevator where
don't
you're like...
let it go. It's, right. It's the elevator right there.
All you need is like one little bit.
Exactly. You just need that one opening. And when you do that, you can open the doors, right? So you're working with that. We're turning our attention away from our kind of forever efforts to heal, and we're leaning in towards, like, how would I need to grow? What would I need to let go of? How can I co-create that future? How can I, begin to partner with the creative energies of life to bring forth this miracle? Because, if you have a goal like you're going to write a book, you're going to get a master's degree, you're going to buy a house, like you pretty much can map out what you have to do to make that happen. You can't do that with true love.
Right. You can try. You can try. Katherine, I want to go to a really important piece here that's something in your work that I have always really appreciated. And it's a section, I'm reading it very clear here, as seeing yourself as the source, right? Seeing yourself as the source. And so the question I have for you is, what do you mean by that? And also, in context of what you're talking about, how do we see ourselves as the source of our situation without blaming and shaming ourselves about everything we've been through?
Brilliant.
This is for me, this was, when I did your work, this was one of the biggest takeaways that I had ever had.
So thank you. So let's say you've had the courage to set an intention. You've called up your best friend, Justin. You said, okay, will you hold this intention with me and for me? He will answer you and say, I will hold you, that intention with you and for you if you give me permission to hold you accountable for being who you would need to be in order to manifest that intention. And then the work of, Michelangelo found David in the slab of marble, like chipping away everything that was not David. That's how he described how he found David in that marble. So you start to chip away, and the things that we're looking at are how you are actually the source of the painful pattern. So if you always find yourself with narcissists or addicts, or you're alone for years on end, we all have our tendencies in one direction or the other. And so you might say, this is how we're doing it now. Yeah, I'm alone for years. My mother, my father, I was a latchkey kid. My mother left me crying in the crib. So we go back.
What else I hear? All the, I'm a Pisces, so this,
or
my human design says this.
Or my astrological chart
says it's going to be 5 years.
I have no partnership.
Yeah, all this kind of shit that we say, like we use all these, and I love all these tools. I love human design. I love astrology.
I do too.
But they're not used to keep us in a cage, right?
Well,
they're used to empower us.
So look, here's the thing. Life is fluid. We have to get that life is fluid, and it's who we are being that's generating our experience in every given moment. And we are no more sacred we were no more sacred before we incarnated than we are right now.
Yes.
And we have to get that, because sometimes people say, well, this was set up before I came into the planet, see my astrology. And I'm like, okay, but you have a say. We have significance in the universe. We create with our words. We create with our intentions. Mm-hmm. So that's where the miracles begin. All miracles are co-created. They don't just happen to us. They have to happen through us. So self is source.
That's a quote. Hold on. Everybody type that in the chat box. I got to pause them on that. Miracles don't just happen to us. They happen through us.
They have to happen through us.
That's a quote. Everybody say that in the room. Miracles don't just happen to us. They happen through us. This is big.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So when it comes to self as source, so in calling in the one, we identify the pattern. And then instead of saying, well, who's to blame, which, by the way, if you go into your psychology long enough, you're just a victim of your own consciousness. So in Calling in the One, we are like rigorous about non-victimization. How am I the source of this? Well, if I really look at how I'm keeping aloneness alive in the space, and this was my actual own Calling in the One process, how the whole thing got created, is I recognized that I was self-sufficient to the T, very, very competent. I liked to work alone. I was the giver in most of my relationships, which, by the way, is the power position. So I wasn't really vulnerable, which means I wasn't really letting people into my inner world. I was just kind of being there for them. Another way that I was generating my own aloneness is I was conflict avoidant, because I had this, I'm alone, everybody's always going to leave me. So at the first moment of conflict, I was absolutely certain this was the beginning of the end. Mm-hmm. And I would start giving my power away and start showing up inauthentically, which, oh, by the way, meant that I was leaving myself alone. I was self-abandoning. And then I was in a relationship in this really inauthentic way and not really myself. And it made it really easy for the other person to leave me because there was no there. And oh, by the way, I found out later on that conflict is what actually bonds relationships.
Yeah.
So my relationships didn't bond deeply when I was conflict avoidant. So you have to see the choices you're making, the actions you're taking. Now, we all have, reasons why we show up the way. I didn't know, and my mother didn't, and it wasn't safe. But until you're an adult and you're actually responsible for, I show up this way, and you say it like this, I don't tell the truth in my relationships because I am unwilling to risk the possibility that someone might leave me. Because when I say it like that, then I'm like, how's that working for you?
Yeah, and this is so big because what I loved about this, Katherine, reading your book, and just so everybody knows, I went through the whole book, the whole process. It has transformed me from the inside out. And one of the main ways that it transformed me, I told you this, I was walking around telling everybody, I'm open, I'm ready for love. I read this book, I was like, oh my God, I'm so closed. Like, I thought I was open, right? Because I've been doing what I thought was the work on my past and on my this, to open myself up spiritually. And I realized I was as closed off as you can get, spiritually bypassing myself to think I was open. And the main thing that I wanted to get to here is when I read this work, what I love so much is you said, yeah, of course other people and what they've done impact and influence our lives. We're not negating that. But the only person you can actually do anything about is you. So take responsibility that you are responsible. You are the one who is creating. You are the source of your situation. I just want to tell you a quick story about this. When I was reading your book, and I've been waiting till this moment to tell you so I could be vulnerable and do it in front of everybody. So when I was reading your book, I recognized one of the main things, like one of my old stories, and I know you call this like a false love identity, which we're going to talk about in a moment. One of my old stories from growing up gay, in the closet, not accepted in my community, hiding it from my family, everywhere that I showed up, I had to pretend to be someone I wasn't to be loved, right? If I would be my authentic self, there was a risk that I wasn't going to be loved. And so this was my belief statement. And so what I did in all of my relationships is I was in these relationships where I felt like I had to prove myself to them. I had to prove who I was. I had to show up as some version. So whoever this person that I was in a relationship with wanted me to be, I would be. I would be that person. And what would happen in each relationship is I would end up in a position where they would say something like, I don't really feel you. Or I would be like, I'm losing myself to you. And I would be thinking that, oh, I'm picking the wrong guys. I'm picking guys that I can't connect with. But at the end of the day, I was never actually showing up as my full self because I was so afraid that if I showed up as my full self, I would be left. I would be abandoned. I wouldn't be wanted. And so I had to own that. Yeah, okay, of course, maybe I picked some guys who were not the best sometimes, but I still didn't show up as my full self. And had I, maybe I wouldn't have chose them in the first place. Or maybe I would have got out sooner, right? And so it just showed me every situation, I was the source. I created this. And so this brings me to the concept of false love identity. Can you define what that is and true love identity so we can get into our practice with this? Yeah.
So the false love identity is the sense of yourself that was formed in response to trauma. So it's the traumatized self, and it's usually quite young. And I also call it your source fracture story. Whatever relational trauma you experienced that seems to be showing up again and again, if you drop down in that moment where it happens again, the pattern just happened, you got rejected again, you didn't get invited, somebody ghosted you, whatever it is, you actually notice where it is in your body, and you can say to that part of you, sweetheart, how old are you? Right, so we drop down into a sense of ourselves as small, as unworthy, as unsafe really in a breath, in an instant, usually in response to disappointment. But as I've deepened into it, I've also noticed that sometimes it's in response to our own dependency needs.
Explain what you mean by that.
Well, nature has designed us to be interdependent. So if you're starting to get connected with someone, you'll start to suddenly, notice when they're not texting, or feeling the need to talk to them and you can't quite reach them, or they're not calling you back. And that feeling of, I need to speak to this person, or I need this person to acknowledge something that just happened. These are healthy needs, actually. I need reassurance, I need engagement. These are actually good, wholesome needs. But those of us who grew up in homes where we didn't get our needs met will very often go into just the need itself is dangerous. Mm-hmm. It's dangerous to need somebody because, the whole love avoidant thing is that love is somehow unsafe.
How many of you feel that? Anybody in here? Yeah, one's in the chat.
I was very love avoidant. Love is dangerous in some way. So then you do all sorts. So you substitute drama for love is basically what you do.
Yeah. Wow, okay, so false love identity is the identity that we create.
Yes, and then
True love.
True love identity.
Yeah.
There's a part of us that's like the soul self, the spiritual self, the higher self, or just the healthy self, the healthy adult self. We know it's a story. We know it's not true. And you access that part of you quite quickly when your best friend is suddenly, oh, I'm not worthy. And you go, are you crazy? Of course you're worthy. You're beautiful. You're a catch. Right? It's right on the tip of your tongue. Very often we forget to do that for ourselves.
Hello.
We don't even know we're in a false center. Why? Because we are so overly identified with our feelings that if I feel it, it must be true. If I feel small, if I feel unsafe. And we don't differentiate between the adult part of us that has a capacity to be objective, to think with our reasonable mind, where we know otherwise, we have all sorts of evidence to the contrary. And so very often we will just kind of drop into the false love identity and start to generate life from there. That's that feeling like I'm 5 years old and I'm trying to be cool. I'm trying to not show that I'm 5. I'm pretending to be an adult here, which we all really know.
We know.
Torture.
We've been there. Yeah.
It's painful. And that's also the feeling of neediness, because the neediness, all neediness is the healthy impulse towards interdependence to get your needs met that is kind of anchored into a false center. Everyone always leaves, I'm not good enough. So if you're needy, you can just take a deep breath and again say, sweetheart, how old are you?
Yeah.
And what's the I am? What are you assuming is true right now?
And then we transition into what is called the true love identity. Could we go into the practice and experience it?
You guys want to experience it?
Yeah, let's experience it. So we're going to do a practice here called Transforming Your Love Identity. It's an incredibly powerful practice. We called Katherine and said, when you come, can you do this, please? And so this is a real gift to get this experience.
Great. So let's have you all close your eyes if you feel that you're in a safe place to do so. If not, keep your eyes open. And just begin by taking a nice deep breath as though you could breathe all the way down into your hips. Moving into a place of deep listening and receptivity, reverence and gratitude, the source of all joy. And I'm just inviting you to begin actually by connecting with the part of you that is holding wisdom. the part of you that has access to power and perspective, the part of you that is holding resilience and strength. Just connecting with the you that has been efforting your own healing and development for years by now, growing your capacities, reaching toward the light, all inside of this deep inner recognition that you are indeed worthy of love, that you do indeed belong to all of life, that you have been born into an experience of where you are destined to be connected and where you are inspired and encouraged and held in the light of love, always given a way to move forward and expand into the fullness of who you came here to be. So turning your full attention to this part of yourself, breathing this part of yourself down through your legs, out through the bottoms of the floor, out through the bottoms of your feet, down into the floor, and out to the edges of the room, just taking up space with this healthy, higher self. This part of you that has access to wisdom beyond your years. And from here, I invite you to now connect with the emotional experience that happens for you when your pattern in love that has been chronically disappointing and difficult, whether you're in a relationship or you're not in a relationship. This is just as valid for those of you who are already in a relationship. It's the self that comes up when you get quote unquote triggered, when somebody lets you down, when you feel unsafe in relationship, disappointed, when your feelings are hurt. And notice where that lands in your body. Notice that this is an old, ancient conversation that is so familiar. See, I'm not loved. See, I'm not safe here. See, I'm not wanted. And see if you can actually give that part of yourself the opportunity to name itself as an I am, or an I'm not, or I don't matter, I'm not enough, I'm all alone. This is the self that comes up when you're disappointed, when the pattern has happened again. And just extending your love to that self in your body as you name it, not from your mind, but from your body. Asking yourself, sweetheart, how old are you? What's the story that you're holding about yourself and your relationship with others? And if you have more than one, just see if you can choose the one that brings tears to your eyes, that makes you feel like, ugh, that one again. I'm invisible. I don't matter. I'm not loved. Whichever one has the most energy right now, just extending love to this part of you and noticing how big the energy is. It's being held in this center that is just right there when you get hurt. And when you're ready, you can just open your eyes for a moment and shake it out. Just shake it out. Move your body. Remember what you had for breakfast this morning, bringing yourself back into present time. Just saying to yourself, what is the very best thing about being me now as opposed to me then? I have power. I have perspective. I can choose differently. I can push back on that story. I can recognize truth, right? Just connecting with your higher self, your healthy self. And when you have that centering again, just close your eyes and Anchor that energy down through your body, out through the bottoms of your feet, down into the earth, out to the edges of the room. And this time I invite you to really go towards that younger you in your body. You might want to imagine you can put yourself on your lap or look into your eyes. And the first thing you want to do is say, sweetheart, you are not alone because I'm right here. Or whatever the story was, you are not unsafe. I'm here to keep you safe. I am the source of your safety. See if you can correct the relationship between the wise, mature part of yourself and that younger you that was so traumatized and took on this story as though it were real. And then I want you to tell the truth to that part of you. You are more than worthy of love just as you are. You need do nothing to prove your value. Your feelings and needs matter. They matter to me, and it's appropriate for you to expect them to matter to others that you let into your life. You are wanted by all of life. All of life conspired to get you here in spite of your ambivalent mother. If it was an I'm invisible, I came here to be seen. It is my destiny to have an impact, to be visible in this world. Speak words of truth and own them in your body from the center that is deeper and wider, and send love to that younger you. And see if you can create a power statement that really anchors you in the deeper truth of your own worthiness, of your own inherent sense of belonging. And if you don't know how to show up in a way that would be consistent with that, just say to yourself, I have the power to learn how to keep myself safe. I have the power to learn how to create loving relationships that are deep and real and true. I have that power. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
Let's just take a second to let that land.
So when you're centered in that younger, tender, wounded self, you will show up in ways that tend to generate evidence for that story. And it will happen outside of conscious awareness because we are the creators. We are co-creators with life of our experience. So we always want to be aware when I've dropped into that center and take on the practice of shifting centers so that we can navigate difficult moments, challenging moments where there's irreconcilable difference or somebody does do something hurtful. That's your adult self that knows your own value that can navigate that moment. That's not the 5-year-old traumatized self. So we have to distinguish between the traumatized self and the true self.
Yeah. How many of you felt deeply in this practice? Felt deeply. One's up. There's tears in the room. If there's tears at home, I invite you to feel into that. We're going to stay in our hearts for a moment and do a song that I think will help us let this land in our spirits a little bit more. So Katherine will be right back to join us. And I'll invite our choir and band back up. And I just need the mic, not the stand. Thank you. And this is one of those moments where we feel the music as medicine. As medicine. And so see if you can let this land in your heart and open up this space of you giving yourself permission to fall in love with the desire of that miracle that's showing up in your life, that is showing up in your life, and also the love that you are cultivating for your own self and where you are and that tender part of ourselves exactly at the same time. Whenever you feel called, I invite you to sing along. it be a sin if I can't help falling in love with you? Like a river flows surely to the sea, darling, so it goes. Some things are meant to be. Take my hand, take my whole life too, for I can't help falling in love with you. If you're calling love into your life, sing this with us. Take my hand, take my whole life too, for I can't help falling in love with. Again, mean it for your heart as you fall in love with yourself and what you're calling in. Take my hand, oh, take my whole life too, for I can't help falling in love with you. Just feel it. Just feel it as we call this sense of love into our lives, as we give ourselves permission to fall in love, to fall in love with the miracle, to fall in love with ourselves. As we take each other's hand and go on this journey together. Thank you, choir and band. Katherine, we'll welcome you back up. So, Katherine, there is, I'm going to actually skip forward to get some questions from people. And so if there is a question, we have a special segment that we've created now in the Kingdom that you all will all love. And I'm just going to skip, because I'm going to come back to this. Excuse me as I try to skip and the slides are, okay, there we go. Called 333. We like these numbers, right? 333. So there's a little time constraint on it, but it's really important. It's 3 questions from 3 people in 3 minutes each. So your question, if you want to get an answer from Katherine, you need to ask it fast so that she can have some time to respond, because I will be having a timer. We'll be watching the time. And so we'll take 1 question from someone in this room. We'll take 1 question from somebody who's watching live online. And so if you have a question, now's the time, and I know Kate's been giving us the information about this, to type in your questions into the questions section on Crowdcast. And then those of you who are looking at the questions come in, you can actually thumbs up or upvote a question, and the question that gets upvoted the most is the one that we're going to ask. And then we also got a question from people who listen to the podcast and who are on social media that somebody wrote in a question that we've already picked. So we'll start with one in the room. Olga's hand went up like this, just so fast. So Olga has a question. Can we get Olga a mic, or do we need... Okay, so I'm going to just have her use your mic for 1 second. Okay, so Olga, what's your question?
Thank you so much. And Katherine, wow, what a practice. What a gift. Thank you.
You got 3 minutes, girl.
Okay. My question is, if you have a person in your life who you see going through very terrible patterns, who is just keep choosing the wrong, just not understanding this beautiful wisdom that, that you share, and they just, how do you convince them? How do you bring them to the point where they see that there is a better path, that, they deserve better? Like how do
you help someone else
help
start
somebody?
to step into this
Yes,
vision?
thank you.
Thank you.
So one of the things that I've trained myself to do is to really notice all of these ways of relating and ways of being that are kind of habitual to us. And one of the things I want you to think about is that you had a moment with me where you could ask anything and that you asked about someone else. Okay? No judgment on it, but just notice that. Consciousness is relational. And the best thing that I think we can do for those that we love is to live the work ourselves and to be a demonstration of the work. And what that might look like, when people really do this work, they start to occur for other people as kind of unrecognizable. So can I just play with you a little, Olga? Is that okay? Because I know that you're really kind, and I want you to be my best friend who, when you get the microphone, you ask about how you can help Katherine.
And we'll keep it tight because we got 3 minutes.
Okay.
Cool. Let's go. I got to be the
So what that might look like from you is that you start to keep your primary focus here on yourself and what you feel and what you need, and you start expressing that more because you have a high sensitivity to the feelings and needs of others and a very deep heart, but that you begin to love yourself so much and you begin to be more visible about what you feel and what you need, such that everyone around you says, I don't even recognize Olga anymore, but I feel like I just met her for the very first time. So
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Olga, did you get what you need? Yeah. So
was I a little bit right about that?
Olga's like, and I got red.
All right.
So the second question actually comes from somebody, and this is a question that I almost didn't ask. And then I realized as I was talking to some people about this, it came in on social media, that a lot of people have this question and they're embarrassed to ask the question.
Okay.
And so I felt, you know what, I'm gonna just ask this one. So this one comes from a woman in our community, and she asks, while I'm looking for the love of my life, is it okay if I'm having sex with other people?
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because people balance this, right? It's like, I'm calling in the one, so
ask that.
I'm being celibate, or I'm this, or I'm that. So what do you believe?
And you get different dating advice. It's kind of crazy making, right? So you get some real diehard dating advice. Don't sleep with anybody. Clean your energy up. Really, and then you get the other person, the opposite. No, you don't want to get too attached. So sleep with a lot of different people and wait till that person's committed. So I don't take a hard and fast rule on it, because calling in the one is different for each of us, and it depends where we are in our journey. So some of you, when we're going to do a practice towards the end that becomes the challenge, and one of the things we're asking is, what's my next step to co-create this possible future? And it might be to be more open sexually and to take the gift of sexuality and sexual experiences with people. That might be your own intuitive guidance and what you might need to say to create safety about that, so you're not getting all confused, like you think that sex means you're solidifying some kind of commitment and then you get devastated. So what would create integrity around that experience? But it also might be that you need to stop sleeping around and claim the sacredness of your temple and begin to get your body ready for your beloved.
So is the way that you, just to follow up on this, is the way that you make that decision about what pathway to take, is it by stepping forward into who you are in the relationship? And
well, so everything's about being in integrity with the future you're committed to.
Yeah.
So when you're calling in the one, you're visiting the future a lot. You're trying that future on. And then you're finding your way to that future, and you're letting go of everything that's not that. Resentments, or you're blaming other people, which means you haven't yet taken responsibility for your part, which, oh, by the way, means you actually won't trust yourself to let somebody else in. Or old agreements, your loyalty to your sister who's not well and will probably not partner, and you don't want to leave her alone, or whatever outdated loyalty might even be to a loyalty like to yourself, where you took a pledge, I'll never let anyone hurt me like that again. Or a toxic kind of dynamic that's very important in your family or your close friends, where you're kind of showing up as a dimmed-down version of yourself, you're out of integrity, you're giving your power away to someone. Those are all the things you need to start cleaning up in your relational field. And then, of course, living from the true you. Yeah. So that's what you're letting go of in order to be in integrity with that. And that's how you're measuring every action you take, every choice you make. Is it in integrity with the
future
and
that I'm
alignment with
calling
that
forward.
future?
And we're going to get to practice this in our Kingdom Challenge in a moment. So the third question, this is really fun. The way that we're doing it on the Kingdom now is people type in their questions, and then everybody who's watching gets to vote up and say which one they want answered. And the one that got voted to the top is from my mom. It's great. It's from my mom, Barbara. So hey, Mom. We calling in some love. So my mom's question is actually one, I find it so beautiful. Mom, I find this very beautiful. And so she said, if I missed my soulmate because I wasn't ready, what's next? Or did I miss my chance? What do I do if I wasn't ready when somebody who I experienced as my soulmate was in my presence?
I love that question.
It's deep.
You know, I think a lot of us feel that pain. I had that person and I blew it. So one of the things that I really help us all to focus on is we're in a process of growth, and you almost have to outgrow who you were when you formed that dynamic with that particular person, so that you are more capable of depth and true intimacy in your relationships moving forward. So life is ever recreative. Mm-hmm. And so we do miss opportunities a lot, and life itself seems to be quite gracious and ever kind about that, and ever available to recreate a different future. So I would encourage you to, in your visioning, which we're going to do in just a little bit, is to hold some of the nuggets, the golden, beautiful nuggets of that connection, and say this and the pieces that we're missing.
Yeah, and more.
Right.
Yeah, beautiful.
It's not about that person, but it is about this. Remember, that person is not the source of those qualities. Life is the source, and you can recreate those qualities and more in your next partner.
Yes, and there are more. There's not just, what you're saying too is it's not just that one person. There's multiple opportunities for life to bring you that
And
option.
in terms of the agreement, you might look at the agreements you made with that person, because agreements that we make, like I'll never love anyone like I love you, you know, in a moment
Even if
of
you never
passion,
said it to them, even if it's an energetic agreement in your head.
even if you just
Yeah.
thought it, it serves as an intention in the universe.
Yeah.
So you have to get conscious of the agreements that you've made and then just complete them.
Inside yourself.
Inside your, well, I actually, when I was doing Calling in the One in the book, I talk about my high school boyfriend, Frank.
I remember this.
Oh, I made
I
an
remember
agreement.
this.
I was so crazy when I broke up with him. I'm 18. What do I know? I said, well, when we're in our 60s, we'll get together and get married. And then, of course, he married the next person and had children with her, but I'm still in the back of my mind. Oh, maybe one day. Blah, 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 blah. So I 20 years later, after dreaming about him for years, I hadn't talked to him in years, but I called him into my meditation. I didn't want to call him. He was still married to that lovely woman. And so I called him into my meditation, and I had a conversation. I'm not going to keep this agreement. It's preventing me from being really, truly open. I'm sorry for hurting you. I love you. What's the Ho'oponopono? I love you. Yeah. Please forgive me. Thank you. I'm sorry. You know, it's a beautiful poem. So I woke up, I got out of the meditation. I felt free. I ended up manifesting this beautiful love. Do you know, I spoke to Frank like 8 years later, because I wrote about him in the book, and then the book was successful, so he heard about the book, and then we got reconnected, and we had this really great heart-to-heart. And he hadn't read the book. He was just a friend had read the book and told him. So we're having this, I'm sorry. It was actually very emotional. And I said to him, he said, I dreamt about you too. And I said, really? He said, oh my gosh, for years I dreamt about you. I said, when did they stop? He said, 8 years ago.
When she broke the agreement. So that's what's really important. So I'm gonna drop that one right there.
Okay, that was for Mom.
There, great. Okay, so this brings us into our challenge, right? How do we actually bring this into our life? And we've been teasing this concept for a little bit. And so I'm gonna go back to these questions, and every month Samsy, would you mind? Okay, I think I got it. This seems to be low battery or something. So the Kingdom Challenge, we're going to have a challenge every month that you just do. The container is you try to do this every day as much as you can between this kingdom and the next one. And we'll be following up and keeping each other accountable in soul study. And I just want to remind you all kind of the actual science of habit building. So you all know, many of you know if you're new here, I'm half very woo-woo, got crystals, prayers, the whole thing going on. I'm half a total neuroscience, psychoeducation geek. I love the science of how all this works. The science of habit building proves again and again in all the most major studies that if you fall off track, meaning if you skip a day, as long as you are compassionate with yourself and don't shame and blame yourself, and you just get right back on the horse, like, oh, I skipped a day, no big deal, back on the horse. It actually has no long-term effect. The long-term effect in habit building comes from beating ourselves up. That's actually where the impact comes from. So I'm giving this to you as a challenge, but also as an experiment with your life and with yourself. So we love this Kingdom Challenge because, Katherine, I'm going to have you talk us through it because you talk about this right at the beginning of your book. You have this amazing moment, and I think it's on page 3 or something like this. I'll pull it up here. This amazing moment with, it's on page 21, with Reverend Michael Beckwith, who we love so much. And you got these questions that you started to embody. And so I think if we could just review the questions very briefly, and then do a quick experience so people can have it, and then you'll know that this is the practice that you do. It'll take you just a couple minutes every day, and we'll see what happens, what magic unfolds over the next several weeks. So.
Okay, beautiful. So we start with a possibility, right? What's the possibility that's calling to you? What do you yearn to create? And you set that as an intention. And then we're going to go into beginning to try that on in our bodies. What does it look like? What does it sound like? What does it feel like? So you're visiting the self of your future. And from that state, you ask 3 questions that were inspired by our friend, Michael Beckwith. What will I need to give up? You're asking the universe, what will I need to give up in order to manifest this possible future? And you listen. Because that's a great question. You're going to need to give up your defenses. You're going to need to give up, indulging self-criticism. You're going to need to give up smoking. You're going to need to move out of that toxic situation and get a new place to live. You will hear what you need to give up when you ask the question. It's not a burning bush. It's just a hunch or an instinct, okay? Mm-hmm. Don't invalidate the answer that you get. And this is why
meditation is so important, too, because it helps us center in and be able to start listening to that voice inside of yourself.
And then the next one, Michael says, what will I need to embrace? And I've kind of grown it to be, how will I need to grow?
Yeah, I love that.
What skills am I missing that I would need to begin to cultivate? What capacities will I need to grow? So what will I need to embrace or cultivate? How can I grow myself today in the direction of my dreams? And you will also, when you just sit with that question, begin to get a sense. You know what's missing and how you need to grow. And then the last one, what is my next step to co-create this possible future? You always want to be in action. One of the problems with our very psychologically sophisticated culture is that a lot of us go back into the past and then we just kind of sit there analyzing.
Yeah.
You have to be in action to break up the false center. Like one of the things I did to break up aloneness is I created a project what I couldn't possibly do by myself. I needed other people. You just are kind of radical in breaking up the kind of pull into that old story, and you begin to show up outside of who you've known yourself to be to co-create that possible future.
This is beautiful. So first step is we set the intention, right? What is the miracle that we're manifesting in our life for love or in our life, period? And then what do you need to give up? Where do you need to grow? And what is the next step? And I love the word next step, right? So it's not like, give me the whole action plan for the next year. It's what is the next step from where I'm at now?
Again, if you're going to go and get, a PhD, you can figure out the whole path before you make a move. And this is where a lot of us get stopped because we trust linear, logical thinking over next step. Sometimes it's like a crazy thing to do. Like, next step, like really go to that dance class? People are sweaty in that dance class.
Yeah. And next thing you know, you walk in and you meet somebody who meets somebody who introduces. These are the things that we can't plan and we don't know. So what I would love, Katherine, is if we could go through a very brief version of that as a practice together so that people have an experience of it. And this is the practice that you will do once a day, every single day as we lead into the kingdom going forward. And if you skip a day, be nice to yourself. But, we don't reach our dreams by half-assing it. So try.
There you go.
Commit,
Okay.
not try. Here
All
we
right,
go.
so let's close our eyes again. Take a nice deep breath as though you could breathe all the way down into your hips. And actually connect with the intention that you are setting to manifest and sustain this deep sense of love, safety, co-creativity, mutuality, joy in your relationship. And begin to imagine what it might sound like to hear your beloved so joyfully singing in the shower or chatting on the phone to someone they love in the next room. Maybe hear the two of you giggling together. Imagine that you are making juice together and see if you can taste the freshness of it. Imagine your beloved doing something kind like cooking your favorite dinner and tasting that, smelling the flowers they brought you, just deepening this sense of I already have this incredible, clear, clean love that is an expression of safety and joy in my life. God's blessing. And again, taking a deep breath, just receiving that possibility, even if only 1% of you thinks it could possibly happen, just turning your full attention there and beginning to notice who you are in that future fulfilled. You are loved, you are seen, you are heard, you are supported, you are healed, you are respected. Just trying on this version of yourself. And again, a deep breath and just asking the universe now, thank you so much for this possible future. What will I now need to let go of in order to manifest this miracle? What will I need to release and let go of? Just listening for the answer. And now asking the universe, and how will I need to grow myself so that I am ready for this date with destiny? I am ready to receive this level of happiness, co-creativity, health, and well-being in the form of my beloved into my life. How will I need to grow in my relationship with myself, in my relationship with others, and finally just asking life, and what is my next step? What can I do today to begin to weave this possible future into the manifest world? And just listen. And whatever comes to you, you need to clean out your closet. You need to have a conversation with someone. You need to write a love letter to your beloved and put it under your pillow. You need to throw away those old love letters. Just make note of it and actually put it in time. Notice what you are going to do within the next 24 hours so that you and life can co-create this miracle together. Thank you so much. Amen.
We're doing a real applause here. Katherine, thank you so much. Everybody, please give some love and gratitude to the incredible, I need a hug from you, Katherine Woodward Thomas. Everyone, let's walk up really quick, Katherine, and just say hi to everybody who's in the chat. They can see us, so they can see you nice and close. Hey, everyone. We love you so much. We love you. Thank you, Katherine. Mwah. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, everyone, this is, Katherine, I'm just blown away. That was so beautiful. Does anybody have an action step that they want to just holler out that they're going to take? What was that? Dance your ass off at Ecstatic Dance LA today. Anyone else have an action they're going to take that they're willing to share? Oh, come on. Y'all have actions. Release some anger. Honesty. Anything that you want to share that you're willing to let go of? What are you letting go of to step into this? Doubt. Yeah, I'm letting go of not having any doubt in being my full authentic self. Because if I don't do that, how can the person who loves the authentic me find me? How can they see? That's it, right? And so, this is me. So, our last segment, well, second to last segment, because you know we got one more song, is our golden nugget. And this is something we do in every session that you'll ever see with me in anything that I ever do. And it was perfect because Katherine mentioned the word golden nugget. And the golden nugget is very simple. We covered a lot of things today. We talked about everything from false love identity to true love identity to being the source, from creating from the future to why a soulmate, all the things in between, the practice. I mean, we covered all of this today. And you're not going to remember all of it. Luckily, you have Katherine's book, which I can attest to. I've read every page and gone through every practice, and it has transformed me from the inside out and continues to. And which is why we had you be the first person here. And you're not going to remember everything, but I want to make sure you have some key takeaway to take with you when you leave here. Not just your action, but a takeaway of something you can really learn and embody. So just close your eyes for one final moment. Take a breath in. And a breath out. You can put your hands over your heart. And if you could think of one key takeaway from this whole session, there was one quote or one nugget that you could take, what would that one golden nugget be? Just think about it. And it takes about 20 to 30 seconds for something to get into the long-term memory. So just repeat it, the words themselves in your mind a few times. Then take a breath in and a breath out. And if you're in the room and you have a pen, feel free to write it down, or you have your phone, you want to write it down. If you're online, write it down for yourself and also write it into the chat box, because I would love to actually see what some of these golden nuggets and key takeaways are from you all. So please type them into the chat. In the meantime, I want to welcome our amazing choir and band back up to get ready for our final song together. And here are some of ours. Cindy says, closed, unfinished love business, let it go. Close all the unfinished love business. Linda says, miracles don't happen to me, but through me. Sabine says, create from the future. Barbie says, don't tell me the story of your past, tell me the story of your future. Stephanie says, music is medicine. My mom says, I have clear, clean love. Stephanie, love your little self. Quanta, deeply love and appreciate yourself, your journey, and your being. What do I need to let go of? Tell the young woman she is loved, she matters, and she is safe. They're beautiful, everyone. Caitlin, Luciana, Barbie, everybody who's chiming in, we're so grateful. So, yeah, you can bring it. Thank you, Tasha. Tasha's like the Vanna White today. Thank you, Tasha. Is it good? So, I want to just take a moment to very consciously thank these amazing musicians that are up here supporting us today. So if we can give them a round of applause. You might recognize the singers up here from Manifest, if you were watching Manifest New Year's Eve. And our band, this is our first time playing together. These incredible musicians, we're so grateful to have all of you here. So thank you so much. And the last song that we're going to sing together is one that I hope many of you in our community know. It's a song that's very personal to me that I actually wrote in a time when I wasn't feeling enough, when I was having one of those nights where I was sitting in my room alone and I felt so low. And we all have these moments, right? And I just said, I just have to write to this little version of myself. And so the very first words that I wrote was, "Little boy, don't cry." And that's what gave birth to this song, I Am Enough. And so the words to the chorus, I'm gonna invite you all to sing along, is I am enough. Oh, really? Let me hear you say it from your heart like you mean it. I am enough.
I am enough.
I am golden, baby, yeah.
I am golden, baby, yeah.
And then turn to someone next to you and say, you are enough.
You are enough.
You are golden, baby, yeah.
You are golden, baby.
I'm looking at our whole team. And for everybody in this room, everyone in the world, everyone who's listening in the podcast, and everyone who can't be here, we are enough. We are enough. We are golden, baby, yeah. Okay, so when that part comes, you know what to do, and there's gonna be a part in the middle where I break it down a little bit. And y'all in the room, I'll tell you what to do, but if you're online, when we break it down, I'm gonna want you to start thinking of people, because I want you to type in the names of people into the chat who may not even be here watching with us, or maybe they are, who need to know that they're enough, who you wanna send a message to them that they're enough. And I want you to just keep their names, all the names flowing through the chat box so we can extend this energy of love far and wide, all the way out through the world. This is I Am Enough.
Little boy, don't cry. You've been in pain enough. Oh. Little girl, don't fight. You're finally safe enough. One day I'll look into your eyes, show you you don't need to hide behind disguise. Spread your wings, you're terrified. Don't be afraid, you're born to fly. I'm by your side.
Here we go, say,
I am enough. I am golden, baby, yeah. I am enough. I am enough. Oh, I am enough. I am golden, baby, yeah. I am enough. I am enough. No. Ooh, oh, yeah. I am enough.
try that part if you can try it with us. Come on, it's a fun part.
Ooh, oh, yeah.
I hear you. I want to hear you from home.
I am enough.
On this next one. Let's go. Come on.
Little girl, it's all right. You've taken the blame. Enough, no. Little boy, don't hide. You've been ashamed. Enough, oh. One day I'll look into your eyes, show you you don't need to hide behind disguise no more. Spread your wings, you're terrified. Don't be afraid, you're born to fly. I'm by your side.
Here we go, say.
I am enough.
Hey!
I am golden, baby, yeah. I am enough.
Hey!
I am enough. No, I am enough. Oh, I am golden, baby, yeah. I am enough. I am enough.
Here we go. We're going to break it down. Here we go.
You are enough.
Sing it with me.
You are golden, baby, yeah. You are enough. You are enough.
Now turn to somebody next to you if you're in the room
You are enough.
and sing this to them. And online, this is where I want you to start typing people's names in the chat box.
You are enough.
Malia, you are enough. Madden, you are enough. Malaya, you are enough. Destiny, you are enough. Jessica, you are enough. Barbara, you are enough.
You are golden,
Terrence, you are
baby,
enough.
yeah.
Type
You
all
are
the
enough.
names in the chat.
You are enough.
One more time, everybody. Come on.
You are enough.
Feel it. Come on.
You are golden, baby, yeah. You are enough.
Come on. Come are enough. Oh, we are enough. We are golden, baby, yeah. We are enough. All right. I just want to hear your voices. Come on, everybody. We are enough. Hey, come on, come on. We are golden, baby, yeah. We are enough. I need to hear you mean it from your heart, for your child self. Come on, let it in. We are enough. I want to hear you at home. We are golden, baby, yeah. We are enough. Last time. We are enough. Come on. We are enough. Say. We are enough. We are golden, baby, yeah. We are enough. This is our moment. We are enough. This is our time. We are enough. Oh, we are golden, baby, yeah. We are enough. We are enough. Last time, say it. We are enough. I am enough. You are enough. We are enough. And we rise together, everybody. Give yourselves a hand. Give yourselves a hand. And just take a second and feel it. Just feel it. Let it all sink in. Let it all sink in for a moment. Just let the energy of that sink in. You can repeat the words in your mind. I am enough. You are enough. We are enough. And just place your hands over the center of your chest. Feel all that energy and power moving through you, the energy that is you. And we close with our closing blessing. God, Spirit, universe, all that is, all that ever has been, and all that ever will be. By every name you go by, we thank you. Thank you for reminding us that we are enough, that we are not beholden to our stories, but that we are here, divine within us, to create the future that is wanting to manifest through us, and that you are manifesting through us in every moment. May we say yes to the miracle that is this life. May we remember to hold each other as a community when we forget, and may we always remember that we deserve love, and we rise together. Thank you, Great Spirit, for bringing us together. I invite you now to just say a personal prayer for yourself right here at the end of the session in your own mind. You can even whisper it to yourself or say it out loud. Personal prayer for you. So it is. Ashe, Aho, Salam, Amen, Shalom, Satnam, Awen, Om. Thank you. That's the kingdom, everybody. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for tuning in from home. We will see you next month, same place. Thank you, Katherine Woodward Thomas, and we rise together.